What are the 5 things that I wish I did sooner to support my hormones? Well, let's get into it. Because now that I'm in my late 40s, I look back and think, wow, I could have done a lot to optimize that. And we don't get a lot of education around hormones at large. PMS gets normalized, cramps gets normalized, endometriosis gets normalized, PCOS gets normalized. All of these things, all these hormone imbalances kind of get normalized. It's like, oh, that happens. That's nothing. Good luck. Women go through that. When really, there is a lot you can do. So, 5 things I wish I'd done sooner. Hi, my name is Dr. Carrie Jones. I am a women's health and hormone expert. You're going to want to hit that subscribe button because I know like hormones can feel like herding cats, and I'm here to help. Number one, honestly, because hormones not only feel like herding cats, they're the canaries in the coal mine. They react to everything. Your hormones are the first to change and the last to get better because hormones like estrogens and progesterone and testosterone, they're not totally critical for survival. Cortisol is critical for survival. Insulin is critical for survival. But like whether or not you ovulate, whether or not you make progesterone and estrogen, not such a big deal. So looking back, I realize that when hormones react to everything, like what I eat and stress and my sleep or not, going out, staying up late, all of those things impact my hormones. So looking back, I wish I had not burned the candle at both ends, which I did as a type A firstborn daughter, right? Like that's what I was known for. Put me in coach, I can work. And it's really common and it's often awarded, rewarded to the women who are the type A, burn the candle at both ends, don't put themselves first, do everything for their family, everything for their job, everything for everybody else. And it shows up in their hormones. So, one of the things I wish I would have done sooner that I do now, as I set a lot of boundaries, I say no or no, thank you a lot. No is a complete sentence. I am stronger and mouthier in my priorities. And I'm very clear on my routines that I set and the things that I'm negotiable on in my day or my week or my month, and the things that are non-negotiable that keep me sane, that really help my health. So, number one, hormones are like canaries. You're going to start setting boundaries. You're going to start saying no. You're going to forgive yourself. You're going to set routines that make you happy. And like, let's just stop burning the candle at both ends. It's totally affecting your hormones. Number two, I wish I'd built muscle sooner. I was a treadmill girl. I like to run on the treadmill or walk in an incline, and I still love to walk. I could walk all over cities, all over parks, all over my treadmill. I have a treadmill and a walking pad, depending where you are in my house. I love to walk. But during my 20s into my 30s, I did not build much muscle. And now in my 40s, I'm working really hard to not only maintain, but build that skeletal muscle. As we get older and our hormones change, especially once you cross into the over 40, into the perimenopausal range, you will notice it is harder to build and keep your skeletal muscle, your lean muscle mass. And it's your lean muscle mass that does so much for the body. It's so important for not even your bones and just overall body health and your structure. But believe it or not, your lean muscle mass is really important for metabolism. And it's really important for things like glucose and insulin and just things we never think about and things we were actually never taught in school. So number two is I wish I had like learned and gotten in the habit of burning or building muscle instead of doing so much treadmill work and like a cardio bunny. Then you can replace that with anything. Stairs, you can replace it with, elliptical, you can replace it with whatever that's pure cardio, but like start building muscle now. Start learning how to do that now when you're a lot younger. Number three, protein. I underate protein for years. Years. And I know it's being discussed all over social media. I know it's become quite quote unquote trendy. I know some days you're probably thinking like, oh my gosh, all I do is think about my protein because that's all we hear all over social media. When I actually did the math and sat down to figure out how much protein I was eating, like when I actually plugged it in and saw, I was shocked. I ate a lot of protein. I thought was a lot of protein. I eat meat. So I just assumed when I was eating meat that I was getting enough protein. What I didn't realize was that I was doing a smoothie with like 20 grams of protein or 2 eggs. 2 eggs is only 12 grams of protein. Then I would do lunch at the time I was when I was in full-time practice in my late 20s and 30s, was at a building. So I would bring leftovers with a little bit of chicken on top. I would get salads with a little bit of chicken on top, right? We would do takeout and I would get a little bit of chicken. Chicken was usually my go-to then, especially for lunch. So not that much. A snack maybe would be a protein bar. If I didn't have time for lunch, I would do a protein bar. There's not a lot of protein in protein bars. Plus, they're often super processed. Then for dinner, I do a healthy dinner and I would eat meat. Again, I would have beef or turkey or chicken or something, but I just realized at the end of the day, I was maybe getting 60 grams of protein. Now, when I do the calculation, I need 120 to 140 grams of protein a day, depending on my activity level. 120 to 140 grams of protein. Once I hit that, made a world of difference. Protein are your building blocks. They make everything better. They build everything. You need protein. You need the amino acids in those proteins to make all the things. You'll feel better. You'll be more energized. You'll be more powered up. Protein is really helpful. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get it all from meat. I know if you're listening to this thinking like, I don't know that I can eat that much beef or chicken or pork or turkey, you can definitely mix it up, but make sure you do the math. There are all sorts of free calculators online. You can ask ChatGPT based on your age, your height, your weight, your goals, your exercise. Break it down. How much protein do you need in a day? Number four. Number four is use your hormones as your guide. A lot of people call the menstrual cycle the fifth vital sign, which means if it's not doing well, if your cycle sucked, if your PMS is hard, if your cramps were worse, if you're noticing all these hormonal symptoms, if you're constantly telling people, I'm so hormonal, it must be my hormones, I think it's my hormones. If you're getting asked, hey, any chance it's your hormones? Any chance your period's coming? Any chance like something's going on in the girl world? Like that is a red flag back to you that something is going on. And remember number one, hormones are canaries in the coal mine, which means number four is pay attention to your hormones. Those are your guides. Those are your guides. And look back. What has been going the last month that maybe made this period worse? These cramps worse. This fatigue worse. This breast tenderness worse. This period heavier. Like, absolutely, something could be going on inside your system, maybe anatomically, like fibroids or polyps or something, endometriosis. Take those very seriously. But if you've been cruising along doing well, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this period was horrible. Or gosh, like Carrie, the last three periods have been terrible. Like, let's evaluate lifestyle and diet and stress and all these things. Because I know for me that when I was, doing all the things that I shouldn't have been doing, staying up too late, not getting enough protein, over exercising, or the months I wasn't exercising very well. So I was pretty sedentary. When stress was super high, if I had been sick, all these things came out in my hormones. So I could start putting the two together because we weren't taught this. We were taught in school, like in elementary or middle school, the general gist of the menstrual cycle. We were taught the general gist on how not to get pregnant, but we really weren't taught like, hey, here's how your hormones work. Here's how the menstrual cycle works, and that everything impacts it. Everything affects it. So use your hormones, your symptoms as your guide. Look back and let's make some course corrections. Don't keep forcing yourself forward if you're doing crappy lifestyle, crappy diet, sedentary, over exercising, you're hating life. Like, let's make some course corrections because it's only going to end up helping your hormones. That leads me to number five. Number five is women are often really deplete in minerals like magnesium. We often need electrolytes. I just read a paper the other day about how women have 70 to 80% less creatine, how B vitamins make the world go round. That one I actually knew. Same with magnesium. Magnesium, I think, is magical and makes the world go round. And so I'm not saying you need to buy 10 different supplements at all, but I do think it's important that you look at some of these basics. And when are you eating them? Are you getting foods with magnesium in them? Are you getting enough minerals? Do you maybe need to amp your electrolytes up in your water when you work out, when you go for your afternoon walk? Do you think maybe you need to add some creatine in? Because here's a couple bonuses. Magnesium and creatine play a big role in ATP. And ATP is your battery pack. It's your power. It's made in your mitochondria, which we all learned in school, or cellular powerhouses. And ATP is the battery pack. So when you've got full battery on your phone, do you have full battery in your body? That's ATP. Magnesium and creatine help play a huge, huge role in that. And we often struggle to get enough magnesium in. So it's not a gimmick. It's not a marketing gimmick for some of these things. I personally, it appears genetically, need more B vitamins than the average person. I take a B complex every day and I feel amazingly better. I can tell the difference when I skip my B vitamin or I run out and haven't bought new for a while, or I think, you know what, I'm going to let it slide for a couple weeks and see how I do. I'll pulse it in and out. And I just feel better when I'm way more consistent with B vitamins. B vitamins play a huge role in all the enzymatic processes in the body. Same for magnesium. If I was stranded on a desert island, I would take magnesium with me. I would not take vitamin D because I'm on a desert island. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of sun. But for other people, they notice a huge difference with vitamin D. Maybe you live in an area like me with not a lot of vitamin D. So you need to get extra vitamin D because you're not getting in the sun. Even if you live in a sunny area, you might be covered in sunscreen and you never go outside. So some of these basic nutrients, I'm not talking necessarily fancy herbs, fancy adaptogens, fancy longevity things. I'm talking the basics. Are you even covering the basics? Do you need to add in more electrolytes? Do you need to add in some magnesium at night before bed? Do you need to get in some minerals besides magnesium? Do you need to add in some B complex for a while and see how you feel? Some of these basics can be helpful. For me personally, one, I think genetics is probably part of it. And two, I had a gluten problem for a very long time until I gave up gluten. Then everything was kind of a mess. And I think I wasn't absorbing a lot of these nutrients. I think eating gluten when I shouldn't have was setting my intestinal absorption up for failure. And to this day, as an adult, I've been gluten-free like decades at this point, but still, like damage is done. Like we can only reverse so much. So if you also are noticing like, oh, I have a lot of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I've been told I have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or I just get gas and bloating all the time. I'm constantly have heartburn. Like if these digestive upsets are common for you, you're probably not absorbing your foods very well either, or your vitamins either. And so you need some extras. So that's my number 5. You're probably deficient in some of the basics. You probably need to add in some more. Talk with a healthcare practitioner, get testing, see what's up, and just start with the basics. Do I need some more magnesium? Do I need some more vitamin D? Do I need some B12? All very testable. Easily testable, covered by insurance. Do I need to add a B complex in? You know, like you know what, Carrie, I don't need a lot of protein. In fact, I hardly eat animal meat at all. I probably need some B vitamins, right? Like creatine, 70-80% deficient, less creatine production in women compared to men. Like maybe I need some creatine. Yeah, you're right. I do work out a lot and I've been feeling low battery. I should maybe consider creatine. Talk to my healthcare practitioner. So I just want to put the basics out there that I wish I had been more diligent on when I was younger. So I hope this helps. The 5 things that I wish my younger self knew, even as a doctor, that I have had to learn through the school of hard knocks now that I'm older and in my late 40s. So once again, my name is Dr. Carrie Jones. I fully understand hormones can feel like herding cats, and hopefully these 5 things will help you too.